Most gardeners hang up their gloves as soon as the last harvest is done, believing their work is finished until spring. But the truth is, the most important stage of soil care begins after your garden stops growing. Fall is when your soil is still alive, teeming with worms, fungi, and billions of microbes quietly building the foundation for next year's growth. Feeding your soil now means giving those organisms the energy they need to transform organic matter into rich, fertile humus before winter sets in. During the cool months, moisture levels are perfect, and decomposition happens slowly and evenly. When you add the right fall fertilizer, a mix of leaf mold, compost, and natural minerals, the soil becomes a living pantry, storing nutrients that your plants can access instantly in spring. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that burn roots or wash away, fall feeding works with nature's rhythm. It strengthens soil structure, improves drainage, balances pH, and increases the population of beneficial microbes. The result? Explosive plant growth once the weather warms up. Roots dive deeper, stems grow stronger, and harvests become heavier and more resilient. Gardeners who nourish their soil in autumn often see yields double or even triple without spending a cent on chemicals. The secret is consistency. A little effort in fall creates long-term fertility and balance. So instead of seeing autumn as the end of your gardening year, think of it as the beginning of the next one. Feed your soil when it needs it most, and nature will reward you with abundant, healthy crops season after season.
When most people think of fertilizing, they imagine spring, the season of planting, green shoots, and fast growth. But experienced gardeners and farmers know that the real secret to abundant harvests begins months earlier, in the quiet season of fall. Autumn is the time when your soil is most receptive, your microbes are most active, and nature itself is preparing for renewal. Feeding your soil now sets the stage for stronger roots, richer nutrients, and healthier plants when spring returns. During fall, the soil is still warm from summer, yet the air is cool and moist. This balance creates ideal conditions for microbial life, the tiny bacteria, fungi, and earthworms that break down organic matter. When you add compost, leaf mold, or natural fertilizers in the fall, these organisms immediately start digesting and transforming them into stable humus. This process continues slowly through winter, even beneath a layer of snow or mulch. By the time you plant in spring, your soil is already enriched and biologically active, ready to nourish your crops from day one. Spring fertilizing, by contrast, often overwhelms plants with nutrients they can't yet absorb. Cold soil slows down microbial activity, meaning much of the fertilizer goes unused or washes away in early rains. Fall feeding, however, builds a nutrient reservoir that releases gradually and naturally as temperatures rise. It's like preloading your soil's energy bank so your plants can withdraw from it when they start growing. Another reason fall is the perfect season to fertilize is soil structure. As you add organic matter and gently turn the top few inches, you improve aeration and drainage. Over winter, freeze-thaw cycles break down clumps and distribute nutrients evenly. The result is crumbly, moisture-balanced soil that's easy to work in spring. Healthy soil structure means stronger roots, fewer weeds, and better water retention, critical factors in sustaining crops during hot, dry summers. Fall feeding also mimics own cycle. In forests and meadows, leaves drop, decompose, and feed the next generation of plants without any human intervention. By adding organic materials now, you're aligning with that natural rhythm, not fighting against it. The soil's biological community thrives when given time to process and rest. That rest is what creates long-term fertility and resilience. Finally, feeding in fall gives you time to observe and respond. You can test your soil's pH, correct deficiencies, and add minerals without rushing to plant. You're preparing your garden intentionally, not reactively. It's a thoughtful investment in the unseen ecosystem beneath your feet. So don't think of fall as the end of your gardening year. Think of it as the beginning of the next one. Feed your soil now, when nature is at its most balanced, and you'll reap the rewards when spring comes bursting back to life. Healthy soil in fall equals unstoppable growth in spring. The secret ingredients. The farmer's fall formula. Every gardener dreams of richer soil, stronger roots, and harvests that seem to double each year. But most rely on spring fertilizers, quick fixes that fade fast. Professional farmers, however, use a different strategy, one that works with time and nature rather than against them. It's called the farmer's fall formula, a powerful organic mix that slowly transforms tired soil into a living, nutrient-rich foundation during the quiet months of autumn and winter. The secret is balance. While many fertilizers focus on nitrogen for fast green growth, fall feeding is about long-term soil health, replenishing the deep reserves of phosphorus, potassium, and carbon that your soil loses after a long growing season. Farmers know that this quiet restoration phase determines next year's success. That's why they mix together simple, natural materials that work in harmony: leaf mold, bone meal, wood ash, and compost tea. Let's break down how each ingredient plays its part. Leaf mold is the backbone of the formula. Decomposed autumn leaves that turn into soft, dark humus. It's lightweight, holds moisture beautifully, and improves soil structure like nothing else. When mixed in, leaf mold increases aeration, feeds beneficial fungi, and helps sandy soils retain water through dry spells. It's basically forest soil in its purest form. Bone meal brings in phosphorus and calcium, two nutrients essential for strong root development. Plants can't grow sturdy stems or produce heavy fruit without them. Because bone meal breaks down slowly over months, fall is the perfect time to apply it. By spring, its minerals are fully available right when seedlings need them most. Wood ash is another underappreciated treasure. A byproduct of natural wood burning, it's rich in potassium and trace minerals that boost flowering and fruiting later in the year. It also gently raises soil pH, helping neutralize overly acidic beds. However, a little goes a long way. Farmers sprinkle just a light dusting, never more than a handful per square yard. Finally, compost tea ties it all together. This nutrient-rich liquid, brewed from finished compost and aerated water, activates microbial life instantly. When poured over your soil after spreading the dry ingredients, it wakes up dormant bacteria and fungi, jump-starting the entire ecosystem. Think of it as an espresso shot for your soil. Instant biological energy that kicks decomposition into gear. When these four ingredients combine, something magical happens. Instead of merely adding nutrients, you're rebuilding the soil's living network. The carbon from the leaf mold fuels microbes. The bone meal feeds deep roots, the ash restores mineral balance, and the compost tea activates it all. Together, they create a steady nutrient flow that lasts for months, feeding plants naturally from below instead of forcing them from above. Farmers have relied on this quiet process for generations. It's how they regenerate fields year after year without synthetic fertilizers, by nurturing the soil's biology rather than just the plants. And the best part? You can easily make this formula at home using simple, low-cost ingredients. So, as the leaves start to fall, gather them instead of bagging them. Save your wood ash, collect kitchen scraps for compost, and prepare a small batch of this time-tested blend. Apply it before the ground freezes, water it lightly, and let nature handle the rest. By the time spring returns, you'll have soil that's darker, richer, and more alive than ever, ready to deliver the biggest, healthiest harvest you've ever seen.
How to apply it correctly. Timing plus technique. Even the best fertilizer recipe in the world won't perform its magic if it's applied at the wrong time or in the wrong way. Fall fertilizing isn't about dumping a pile of compost on your garden beds. It's about timing, layering, and working with the natural processes of the soil. When done right, your fall soil feeding becomes a slow-release system that keeps enriching the ground all winter long. Here's exactly how to do it, step by step. Step 1. Timing. Catch the sweet spot. The perfect window for applying your fall fertilizer is right after your final harvest, when the soil is still warm but before it freezes solid. For most regions in the U.S., that's late September through early November. The key is temperature. Soil microbes remain active as long as the ground stays above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, or 4 degrees Celsius. They'll spend weeks breaking down your fertilizer into nutrients that plants can absorb later. If you wait too late, the soil hardens and decomposition slows to a crawl. Too early, and rains might wash nutrients away before winter. Aim for that golden middle ground, cool, moist, and still alive. Step 2. Clean and prepare the bed. Start by clearing out any dead or diseased plant material. Old stems and roots can harbor pests or fungi that overwinter and attack next year's crops. Leave only the healthy organic matter that will decompose safely. Next, gently loosen the top few inches of soil using a garden fork or hand cultivator. You're not tilling, just aerating. This creates channels for air and water, helping your fall mix reach the root zone. Step 3. Spread the fall formula evenly. Apply about 1 to 2 inches of your farmer's fall formula over the entire bed. If you're working with containers or raised beds, a half-inch layer is usually enough. Spread it evenly with a rake so that every square foot of soil gets the same treatment. Avoid clumping. You want uniform coverage so microbes can process it evenly through the winter. Step 4. Activate with water. Once spread, give the soil a light watering, just enough to moisten the surface without soaking it. This helps dissolve minerals from bone meal and wood ash while activating the microorganisms in the compost and leaf mold. Think of it like waking up the microbes with a morning coffee. If you brewed compost tea, now's the time to pour it on. It supercharges microbial activity almost instantly. Step 5. Protect with mulch. Cover your freshly fed soil with 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch, such as straw, shredded leaves, or even pine needles. Mulch insulates the soil, preventing erosion, nutrient loss, and compaction from heavy rains or snow. It also maintains a steady temperature underneath,
allowing worms and microbes to continue their quiet work all winter long. When spring arrives, you'll notice that the mulch has mostly decomposed into a soft, dark layer of humus. Step 6. Let nature take over. Once your soil is covered and hydrated, your job is done. Resist the urge to dig or disturb it again until planting time. Underneath, millions of microscopic workers are transforming organic matter into plant food, breaking down minerals, and creating the rich texture that healthy roots love. It's slow, silent, and incredibly effective. Optional bonus step: test and adjust. If you have a soil test kit, fall is the best time to use it. Check your pH and nutrient levels, then make small adjustments if needed. Maybe a sprinkle of lime for acidic soil, or a handful of sulfur for alkaline soil. Doing this in fall gives your amendments months to balance out naturally before spring planting. By applying your fertilizer in autumn using these steps, you're essentially preloading your soil's pantry for next year. When the snow melts and temperatures rise, your soil will already be rich, crumbly, and biologically active, ready to nourish your seedlings without extra work. Fall feeding isn't about instant results. It's about trust in the natural cycle. Apply it once, and you'll see the difference by spring. Do it every year, and your garden will transform. Deeper roots, stronger plants, and harvests that just keep getting better. Results and real proof. Every gardener loves the promise of a bigger harvest, but promises mean little without proof. The real strength of the farmer's fall formula lies in the visible, measurable results it delivers season after season. When you feed your soil in fall, you're not just adding nutrients, you're transforming the entire underground ecosystem, and the results speak for themselves. Let's start with what happens beneath the surface. Over the winter months, your fertilizer mix, the leaf mold, bone meal, wood ash, and compost tea, is quietly decomposing. Earthworms drag particles down through the soil. Fungi spread their networks of mycelium, and bacteria multiply. This microscopic activity breaks down complex organic matter into humus, the dark, nutrient-dense material that acts like a sponge, holding moisture and minerals. By early spring, your soil is looser, darker, and more fragrant, the unmistakable scent of healthy earth. Gardeners who've tried this method often report shocking differences the next season. Roots grow deeper and thicker, making plants far more drought-resistant. Tomatoes produce double the usual fruit, carrots grow straighter and longer, and leafy greens stay tender longer into summer. Because the soil has already stored the nutrients it needs, plants draw on a constant, balanced food supply without the sudden bursts or deficiencies that come from chemical fertilizers. In side-by-side comparisons, the difference is dramatic. Beds that received fall feeding sprout earlier, stay greener, and resist disease more effectively. This happens because healthy soil creates a balanced environment that discourages harmful pathogens while supporting beneficial ones. When your soil's microbiome is strong, it acts as the garden's immune system, shielding plants from stress, pests, and nutrient shocks. Even small backyard gardeners notice it. One raised bed grower in Oregon reported a 60% increase in yield after just one season of consistent fall feeding. Another in Pennsylvania said her strawberries grew twice as sweet after she started applying the farmer's formula before winter. And small-scale farmers across the Midwest have quietly used the same method for decades to maintain soil fertility without expensive synthetic inputs. The technique isn't new. It's simply been overshadowed by the convenience of store-bought fertilizers. There's also the long-term payoff.
Each year you repeat this process, your soil becomes more self-sustaining. Organic matter builds up, reducing the need for watering or constant fertilizing. Plants become naturally resilient. Their roots form symbiotic relationships with beneficial fungi, improving nutrient uptake and drought resistance. Over time, this creates a closed-loop system where nature takes care of itself. And the beauty is, you can see and feel the difference. Scoop up a handful of soil from a bed you've been feeding for a few seasons. It's soft, rich, and teeming with life. Water sinks in instead of running off, and weeds pull out easily because the soil structure is so balanced. Compare that to hard, compacted dirt that's been left untouched. The contrast is striking. Farmers call this process building soil capital. It's the unseen wealth beneath your feet, the quiet investment that pays dividends year after year. When your soil is alive and thriving, your plants will be too. So the proof isn't hidden in complicated lab tests or fancy products. It's right in your garden. It's in the bigger cabbages, the deeper green leaves, the fruits that taste like sunshine because they grew from healthy, living soil. Once you see what fall feeding can do, you'll never skip it again. Next spring, when your neighbors wonder why your garden looks like it came out of a catalog, you'll know the truth. The secret wasn't in the seeds or the weather. It was in the quiet work you did months earlier. That's the power of fall feeding, proven by results you can harvest, taste, and share. Bonus tips plus outro call to action. Before you put away your tools for the season, here are a few practical tips to make your fall feeding even more effective. These simple adjustments can turn an ordinary garden into an exceptional one. Add crushed eggshells. They're a natural source of calcium that slowly breaks down over time. Calcium strengthens cell walls and helps prevent blossom end rot in tomatoes, peppers, and squash. Rinse, dry, and crush the shells. Then scatter them across your soil before applying mulch. Use wood ash sparingly. Wood ash is an excellent source of potassium and trace minerals, but moderation is key. Too much can raise the soil's pH and reduce nutrient availability. A light sprinkle, no more than a handful per square yard, is enough to provide the benefits without imbalance. Test your soil in fall. Fall is the best time to run a soil test. It gives you accurate readings of pH and nutrient levels and allows you to correct any deficiencies months before planting. Adjusting your soil now gives amendments time to settle and integrate naturally. Add extra leaf mold for clay soil. If your garden has heavy clay, mix in more leaf mold or finished compost. It will loosen compacted areas, improve airflow, and create better drainage, making it easier for roots to spread and absorb nutrients. Protect with mulch. Always cover your soil after fertilizing. A 2 to 3 inch layer of straw, shredded leaves, or composted mulch prevents erosion, retains moisture, and insulates microbial life through winter. By spring, that protective layer will have turned into rich organic matter. The key idea is simple. Feed the soil, not just the plants. When you strengthen the living system beneath your feet, you build long-term fertility that requires less intervention year after year. Healthy soil is the foundation of every abundant harvest. So this fall, instead of ending your gardening season, start preparing for the next one. Apply your fall formula, cover it well, and let nature handle the rest. When spring arrives, you'll notice deeper roots, faster growth, and stronger, more resilient plants. If you found this guide helpful, like, share, and subscribe for more practical gardening science. Leave a comment about your results or your own fall soil recipe. Your experience might inspire another grower. Great gardens aren't created in spring, they're prepared in fall.